Thank you for joining the October 2nd, 2018 VOLTHA call. And we do record these to post them on YouTube, so keep that in mind during any discussions or presentations. And with that, I think we will kick off today's meeting. We do have a number of new JIRAs to review that have come in since last week. And then a quick update, I want to find out the status on 1.5. And I know we have several commits that are waiting for 1.5 to be tagged before we proceed to merge those into master. We have some follow-up discussion on the proposal from Shad that was sent last week on VOLTHA Discussed, and it's under the thread for the 9/27/18 VOLTHA call. And then after that, we'll take the remaining time to go over status updates for the in-flight work for Sprint 8. So I think with that, any changes or additions to the agenda that are needed? Okay, I think we'll go right into the new JIRA, starting with 1241. And I need to rearrange my screen a little so I can see things. Okay, so 1241, Broadcom OpenOMSI adapter does not reliably push VLAN flows. This was actually, it looks like this one's done. Any comments from the group?
Is Matt around? I just want to see.
I see him on the bridge.
Right. I don't know what he has dialed in yet.
Maybe not.
I just want to understand how they resolve it. Okay. But it's closed. Okay. Move on.
Okay.
Please.
We can come back to that if we would like to. That's fine. 1242, VOLTHA is not connecting to several controllers, and this one was opened by Daniel, and there is a patch, I believe, submitted by him as well. Let me see if we've got Daniel on the bridge.
This is for the Celestica, right?
Could be. It's opened against OF agent.
Okay.
And so this, I think it has, we may need to add more reviewers. I'm not sure. So right now, we've got Richard and Satish tagged on this as reviewers. Okay. So any comments or questions that we need to take back on this item?
And also, oh, that's to do, so he's assigning to himself?
He's assigned it to himself. I think it's in progress since he has a patch suggested.
Right. I'll change to
I can move it in progress. And then likely we should move this into Sprint 8 as well in 2.0. Okay, the next item is 1243. And this one is was there a comment? 1243, ensure that the data model is thread safe. This one was opened by Stefan and is being worked by him also. In progress, I think we'll likely move this into Sprint 8. Do you have any comments or questions on this item today?
Is that the Go implementation that's being changed?
Yeah, that's the Go implementation.
Okay. Okay. Right.
So, so shall we put it in the Sprint 8?
Yes, in Sprint 8 is good.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, thanks, Sean.
So it's one of those things that we didn't have to worry with just a Python because single-threaded, but in Go it's all multi-threaded. So it's
actually, I cannot modify it because I think there's a parent. So right, this is the subtask cannot assign to it.
Oh yes, it's a subtask. That's right.
Okay. Never mind.
Yeah. Inherited. Yep. Okay. So let me cancel out of this. 1244, VOLTHA NNIs to support link aggregation, including single member labs. And Sean, this one was opened by you.
Right. I think I'll put it as the VOLTHA future.
Okay.
But I think that's definitely one of the critical item AT&T is looking for. One thing I would like to check with the community is do we know the BAO support the multiple ANI and also the link aggregation? That's one thing I don't know whether that's so. So does anybody in community know about this one?
So Sean, definitely multiple multiple ANIs is supported. It's just our limitation in VOLTHA that about the single NNI.
Okay.
And I'm not aware of lag support. Definitely the Qumran supports it. I don't know whether that's exposed
Right.
to BAL. I can take that as an action item to check with Broadcom.
Okay, great. I can send Frank the email also. Why don't I do that? You focus on your work.
Thank you, Sean.
And Sean, are you looking for LACP link aggregation or some other kind of scheme?
LACP link aggregation, yes.
Other comments or questions?
And I probably should also make this update the description, make it more more descriptive. Okay. Okay.
Also, sure, if we want to support that, we need to be able to configure LSCP parameters like, the short timeout, long timeout, priority.
Right.
There's a few. So we, I do have potentially a proposal around updating profiles to include some of that information. Maybe probably not this Thursday, but maybe the following Thursday, I could present that.
But the thing is that that's part of the device configuration, right? Do we really need to engage with a profile? What's the benefit to use a profile to configure things like this?
Well, so it gives you a default starting point, right? So if I bring up, if I define, say 2 NNI interfaces, it allows you to configure information about those NNI interfaces. So same with the PON, right? We also probably want some way to configure a default profile on the PON interfaces for AES and FEC and DBA mechanisms. And there's a lot of attributes that we probably need to configure that we have no way to do that right now.
Right. Okay. So I think why don't if you have any proposal, let's talk about that. I think one thing I would say is the default on the NNI portion, since that's in some ways sort of business as usual. We always have to configure that even with the legacy system. So I will mark it as a lower priority. But the defaults for the PON stuff, I do think those probably more crucial.
Sure.
Okay, so Sean Missette, I'll add you as a placeholder, at least for now, on next Thursday's call for that. And if we need to change it, just let me know.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, other questions? And next item, 1245. When OpenOLT device is deleted, there's unhandled error during deletion of the child for the Broadcom OpenOLT CI ONUs. And this one was opened by Girish. And Girish, it looks like you assigned it to yourself as well. Let me see if he's on the bridge. Actually, I don't see him on the bridge today.
So
it looks like there is a. Go ahead.
No, yeah. So there's a fix already, or subtext?
It's caught up with Resource Manager fixes,
Okay.
which has its own set of testing going on.
So you're monitoring this one, right? So No, that's good. Thanks. Yeah, I was about to ask. What does Matt say about this? So,
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's just it's balled up with other stuff. So yeah.
okay.
Yeah, there's a holiday in India today, so they're probably not going to be on the call.
That would make sense then. All right. Any other questions on this item before we move on?
So that should be is that in progress already?
Actually, it probably should be.
Yeah, definitely. We've gone round and round about it enough.
Okay, thank you. Good catch, Sean. And the next item is 1246, publishing to Kafka fails intermittently in Kafka proxy from AFKAK common. And Michael, on.
Yeah, and I'm still investigating that.
Okay.
It's very intermittent. It seems to be coming out of the AKAK Sienna code library. I updated it, but it still seemed to reduce it, but it's still firing that error, and then it restarts.
Okay, so should this be a defect rather than a story?
Probably.
Yes, probably.
Yeah. Let me do that.
Okay.
And then we'll target this. It sounds like it's being investigated, so I'll put this in 2.0. And then I think probably we won't know if it will go in sprint 8 till we know more after the investigation. But likely sounds like it likely will get pulled in.
Okay, so Ken, is there something? So Mike, you said this is a part of the Sienna library, right?
Well, that's what I've been investigating. I updated it, and it didn't fix the problem. So I have to look into it further.
And Ken, with this one, I don't know. Because I see Kafka, so I'm just making that link here. So what I'm saying, with this affecting the Kafka message bus between both the core and the adapter?
Well, if there's an issue there, for sure it will, because the adapters are still in Python, so they will be using that library. In Go, we are using different, on the core, we are using different libraries, but on the twisted one, the adapters will be using that library. So if there's an issue there, then that needs to be fixed in that library.
Is there something Sienna can work with Mike after Mike's investigation?
Well, sure.
Or anybody else? Yeah.
If Mike has identified that it's an issue with that library, right, then yeah, we'll take a look.
Great.
So Mike, once you have more info on this, if you could add an update or a comment into JIRA, that would be great. And then you can engage Sienna on looking at what you find.
I will do that.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Ken. Let me move. Any questions before we move on? Next item then. Oh, go ahead.
I'm adding a comment on that one. Say, please, remind Ken to please monitor this one for potential impact to the 2.0 also core adapter. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks. Next item, 1247, callback mechanism should provide current data and the data to be updated. This one was opened by Stefan, is being worked by him as well. So in progress, so likely we need to move this into sprint 8, and it looks like
it's done.
It looks like it's been merged. So okay,
yep.
So let's get this into sprint 8 so we track it. Oh, subtask.
Subtask.
I always forget that with the task.
I'll make it done.
Okay, thank you, Sean. And thank you, Ken, for the update. Actually, before I move on, were there any questions from the group? Make sure we have time to review. All right, next one, 1228, OpenOLT agent auto-config to support cross-platform support. This one was opened by Craig, and this was related, I think, to our discussion last week with the addition of a new OLT type for support.
It's already done.
And it is. Okay. I didn't see anything popping up here, so all right.
So Craig, is there any code or something like that? What what?
It's interesting. I have Garrett reviews on my version of the JIRA ticket. Yeah, there was code changes and reviewed by Shad, and
Okay.
and we got those merged this weekend.
And in this view, they don't always populate in JIRA. I have to go to a different view. So sometimes I see them on this call. Sometimes I have to go to a different screen. So it's.
So yeah, this was all basically make file changes. There wasn't any source code changes on this.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks.
And so potentially, Matt, this one probably will be, since it already merged, so it will be part of 1.5, right?
Yeah, so between Volta being tagged branch 1.5 and OpenOLT driver being branch 1.5 as well, or whatever we want to call it, probably 1.5. But yeah, they're both together.
Okay.
All right. Next item, 1249, OpenOLT, remove tight coupling with Broadcom OpenOMCI ONU adapter. This one was opened by Shad and assigned to him as well.
This is done. This is done.
Oh, it's
we can close
done.
this.
Okay. Done. Thank you. And any comments from the group?
No, it was a good change.
Okay, thanks. We'll move on to 1250. FTTP flow handling support at OLT and ONU for Deutsche Telekom use cases. And this one is in progress, opened and being worked by Girish. And Sean, I don't know if you have any comments for this, or if we have any questions, we can take them back to Girish.
One thing is that now they said the fixed versions 1.4. It wouldn't be in the 1.4, right? If it has not been. Shamaset, can you make a comment on this one? I know this will be important for the DT, but you know, we're cutting 1.5 today, maybe.
So, Sean, this is Amit. So I think if it goes in 1.5, that's fine.
Is it done?
No, what I'm saying is if it doesn't make into 1.4, that should be fine.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
It will be in the master, right? Anyway, so okay.
Yeah, you might also want to look at the ONUS OLT pipeline code because it's always popping a tag on downstream in its flow intent.
Yes, so Chip, those changes have already been pushed into the ONUS, into the ONUS project. Yeah. And there's one more JIRA, which is VOL 1256, which is related to this, and that JIRA holds the changes in the the OLT app for the corresponding transparent flows. So the two are related, 15 to 56.
So the changes to the OLT app and ONOS regarding the pipeline have been pushed, but the corresponding flow decomposer changes have not?
Yeah, so the OLT pipeline changes have been pushed. The OLT app changes, I submitted it today, so it's up for review. The changes for VOL 1250, we should be submitting it either tomorrow or the day after.
Okay, because the way I understand it is that those have to come together, right? If we change the ONO side, then the flow decomposer side has to change or everything breaks.
No, not 100% correct. It's just that the new functionality won't work, but existing functionality won't break even if you check in any one of the pieces.
Okay. So I might be confusing that with one of Chip's changes that he's been making regarding OLT pipeline and flow decomposer as well.
Okay.
Thanks for that update, Amit. Any other questions before we move on?
I thought Amit's supposed to be on vacation. Sorry, it's a holiday. I am interested. I don't know what the DT and and Radis says. Maybe at some point, to me, I think, now we're touching FTTB, right, which is the GFAS related stuff. So I will be interested in see what is being done on on the VOLTHA and also on the ONOS app in order to support the upcoming FTTB support. So unless I'm wrong, so is there something maybe in the following meetings we can have overview regarding to the changes for the FTTB support?
Sure, I don't see why not.
Sean, you can take on that one, right?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be very interested in this one. So and for my level of the code, I don't. Yeah. Anyway, I should not admit my own shortcoming on the recording. so no wonder I cannot find a new job. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Okay. So Sean, please take on this one. Okay. So I mean, when do you think this one will be done? The 1250.
So Sean, the changes are mostly done. They have been tested already. It's just a question of rebasing and pushing them in.
Okay.
So that's why I said maybe either tomorrow or the day after we should be pushing in the changes in that ESF 16 adapter and a few line of changes in the core. And the ONOS app changes have already been uploaded for review.
And the other question is, because this one is specific for the ASF VOLTha 16 adapter, right?
Correct.
And will the changes apply to the OpenOLT maybe later in the 2.0 timeframe?
Yeah, so we need to build the same logic into the OpenOLT adapter. So we have to take that. So maybe we create a user story and leave it, and it gets picked up at some point of time.
Okay. So maybe some of the recent ticket maybe open the JIRA, and transport that to the OpenOLT. That would be great. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And then let me go back to this one. So Sean Missette, if you want to let me know after you take a look at schedules and things when you'd like to get this on the agenda, then we can schedule that in.
Yeah, probably once the implementation is done, we can coordinate with Amit and Girish maybe to do a walkthrough of the changes. So maybe in a couple of weeks.
All right, thanks. Okay, then going on to the next item. This one is 1251 CLI assert when dumping out PM elements in the MIB database. And Chip, this was opened by you and is shown as done as well. Any comments or questions? All right, not hearing anything.
It's good to see that, ticket open and then close right away.
But we still want people to have a chance to look at it, so.
Right.
For visibility. All right, 1252 is the next item, and this is another one opened by Chip and is done as well. And this is for OpenOMCI. Need ME attribute to indicate ME is not reported during the MIB upload. And you've got the description in there. And again, this one is complete. Oops, let me add this to 2.0.
So Chip, of course, I need to ask some question here. So if that's it's not supported, then what would happen?
What? Not adding this, or? Well, the OpenOMCI code monitors all creates, sets, and deletes, and updates the local MIB database to indicate, what the view of the OLT world is. and this was needed just basically when you do a MIB upload. Often you don't, for some items, you don't get them in, like the OMCI, you don't actually get those items during an upload.
Mm.
So they're typically not recorded, according to the standard. And so this is just so that you don't always look like you have something extra on the OLT that you have to push down, which makes no sense.
Okay. Great, thanks.
Other questions? Okay, let's just check one thing. And going on to 1253, OpenOLT, packet in does not carry correct import info. This one was opened and then being worked by Shad as well.
It's already merged. The last stuff merged.
2.0.
Yeah, I just marked it done. Yeah, that's
okay.
done as well.
Great, thank you. And if you just
are these packets that go up to ONOS? They're basically captured and sent up to the SDN controller. Is that the ones?
Yeah, that's right. It was the packets that are captured at the NNI. They were not carrying the correct port information. So that it was a bug. So the packets were being captured, but the port information was not incorrectly being reported to ONOS.
Is that the UNI port or is that the NNI port or
on the NNI port?
Okay.
So
well,
there's
only one.
LLDP. Pardon?
Well, there's only one, right?
Yeah.
But we have to prepare for future once we get more than one. Is that the same? So I'm curious. So most of the existing also adapter also doing this kind of functionality, right? What I'm saying, the Adtran adapter, they do the packet in also, and then also the ASF-VOLT 16, they also do the packet in, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's sort of the common functionality. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, Adtran does packet in from the PON ports, packet in, packet out from the PON ports, but we actually prefer the top of rack for packet in, packet out northbound, because we generally have always used an open flow switch as our top of rack, so ONOS talks directly to it. You really only need packet in out to the NNI of an OLT if you don't have an open flow top of rack switch.
Mm. But in that case, how do you know? If anybody using your the OOT, they may not have the open flow switch. In that case, how if you pack it into the top of rack, it wouldn't understand it, right?
Yeah, right. If you don't have, I'm not sure who would set up a modern SDN SIBA pod without why you would want to do that, but if you do, you would need it on the NNI port of the OLT, correct?
Yeah. I think this is architecture discussion now.
Yeah,
right?
I think so, yeah.
How does that work with multicast, though? Because you
and we need to talk about that.
Yep, probably need to talk about it.
Yeah, multicast actually is getting hotter and hotter. So we need to start addressing that.
And we have, and actually I don't have it copied onto my snippet here, but we had sort of on the back burner a deep dive we wanted to schedule for multicast to discuss that. Do we want to try and set a date for that at this point?
Not now. Let's do that offline.
All right.
You only have 1 hour today. Don't get used to it. Oh, okay.
All right. Other questions on this item? So it looks like we need some follow-up discussions. I'll go ahead and move on. Next one is another defect open, 1254. Key error prevents VOLTHA restart. Matt, this was opened and is being worked by you.
Yeah, I've got to check in. It's really just a revert of a commit that Nick made a couple weeks ago regarding key reconciliations and removals. It removed a key we needed. So at this point, the easiest thing to do is just revert the change. So there's a commit there that just reverts that. Discover this as part of other testing.
Have any questions or discussion from the group?
And Matt, once you revert it, would there be any consequence effect because of the revert or reversion?
No, I've tested after locally reverting, and vCore restarts are reliable again.
Okay.
Other questions from the group? Then moving on to the next one, 1255, creating a proxy to a subpath actually points to root. This one was reported and worked by Stefan, and it looks like this one is complete. It's coming out of sprint 8. Any questions for that we need to take back or bring up things?
Hey, Ahmed, if you're not talking, can you please mute? Well, we can enjoy some of the holiday there. Okay.
Okay. Then I think we can move on to the next item if there are no questions. And next is 1256, support for transparent flows with different VLAN IDs on an ONU for FTTB use case. And this one is in progress as well.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that earlier.
Yep, we do. Oh yeah, we talked about this one already, sorry. Let me move on, 1257. OpenOLT agent should support platforms defined port topologies. This one was opened by Craig and assigned to him as well. And this is on.
Yeah, this is ongoing work to start integrating the Telabs OLT with different port counts than the EdgeCore OLT.
Okay. And let me go ahead and put this in for 2.0. Do you think that's something that will happen in Sprint 8, or would that be, we've got one more development sprint, Sprint 9? Do you have a sense for that yet?
Probably Sprint 9.
Okay.
Is this solution is based on basically looking at what the device has, pulling it and basically implementing something based on that, or is it based off of some kind of profile or definition for that particular OLT type?
It would be querying the device for determining what port counts it has, and then returning that information to the OpenOLT with port indications.
I see. Okay, thanks.
So right now it returns 16 ports hard-coded, and this would have to dynamically determine based upon the device that it's operating on.
Sure. Does it return what kind of port it is as well, or just the port count?
I'm sorry, can it return what?
Well, the type of port.
Well, that's another discussion. That there's another user story that's been being discussed that we need to get on the list here, but supporting different technologies for each of the individual ports. It kind of goes beyond just returning the port type, but there's some discussion about how to integrate that with the resource manager, the new resource manager, and being able to allocate different port rate for GEM ports and ALEC IDs.
Sure, yeah.
No, this is very exciting. We actually have Telab also involved on this one. I, again, welcome you on board. So the platform-defined topology, port topology. So, I think we do have different variants of the OOT, right? So, I don't know whether the tidbit will count on in this also. So that's one port, and we have 4 port, we have 8 port, and 16 port. plus 24 ports. So we do have all different variants. So I do think this. So it's Craig. You're saying, just remove the default 16. Now you can be more flexible based on the device, right? So.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think this is good.
And ideally, also the technology of those ports, as the question was asked, but there's another user story that we need to also develop, which is how to support the resource manager for multiple different interface types.
Great. And I know we talked about a resource manager at one point. So I do think I myself need to be refreshed that. Sean may need your help for that refresher. Okay, great. Thank you. Julie, you can move on.
All right, thank you. Any other questions before we move? And next item, 1258, OpenOLT. Hooks for customizing the OpenOLT adapter. This was opened and being worked by Shad. It looks like there is a patch out there in Garrett.
Yeah, so a very short summary of this is Lynn from CIG was at ONF yesterday, and we had a good discussion about ways in which like a vendor like CIG could take OpenOLT and customize it for their own adapter. So this is work related to that, and I'd like Lynn to take a look at that and review it, and maybe as well Craig from Telltale Labs, if and I don't see anybody from Iskratel over here. So this is another way to kind of it follows the same mechanisms as chip used in the Open OMCI. Is where you could take a default behavior and change it with your user-defined behavior. So yeah, this is a bit of ongoing work, and Lynn can. I'm looking for feedback from Lynn on this, and we can take it from there.
And also Craig, right? Because Craig is also utilizing the OpenOLT adapter now.
Yeah. So the OpenOLT adapter has 4 or 5 core functions inside it. The resources is one part. How to allocate the resources, like alloc IDs and gem ports and things like that. The other is the flow management, and another piece is stats, and another is alarms. So these were already designed as separate modules within OpenOLT. What this commit gives a user is the capability to override these functions with their own user-defined functions. So if you want a different kind of a flow manager, you could define your own class for flow manager and give it to OpenOLT when you initialize it. Similarly with resource with the platform stuff, like for the resources or stats or alarms. So it's a way to take OpenOLT adapter and then define your own adapter based on the OpenOLT adapter. Yeah.
And Shad, you are in the process of putting an overview together for the, the ONF Connect, right? Not doing the BBWF.
No, I don't have any talk on BBWF, but okay. Yeah, for the December ONF Connect, I might have a talk. And yeah, I think I just have to get around to. I know you've been asking me for that, so I'll put together something. But I mean, people who are using OpenOLT, I mean, we are, it's this thing. But I think what you're asking for is a kind of very intro talk on or something like that. So I'll do something about it.
Right. No, I'm not pushing you, but I just think But I think for any new, we can talk about this one a little bit later. I think for Lynn and for other Craig or other company using the or the developer using OpenOLT, I think if you have any questions, just ask Shad. But at the same time, I'm hoping to have a more, for example, the detail and overview related to various technology, and then make it available, sort of like a tutorial for the VOLTHA. I think that will help the community to understand, especially for the new participant of the community, and we need to do the better job for introduce ourselves and then also package ourselves. That's the goal I'm trying to achieve. That also includes OpenOMCI work and everything else too. Okay, great, thanks.
All right, that takes us through the new issues. So let's go back to the agenda. Next item to discuss is the status for tagging 1.5. So I'd heard that was targeted for later today. Is that still on track, or are there new developments?
Yeah, at this point, unless there's some objection, I figure where we're at right now, where master has been pretty stable and been working out for us. The one bug I put in about the key error on restart, I'd like to get that in first. But once that's in, I'd like to take whatever master points at that point, branch it, call it 1.5, and do the same for the OpenOLT repository as well.
Let me find that.
It was the recent one. I probably put it in this morning.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. I know we talked about it just a little bit ago. Here it
yeah,
is.
There it is.
54. Okay.
Yeah, and I think Ken +1'd it. So yeah, at this point, if that gets merged in, then whatever master points to after that, we'll cut it there.
Okay.
I may ask for help from maybe some of the ONF folks on doing this in Garrett. I want to make sure it's done right, and I'm still not quite sure if I have permissions. But if everyone's happy with it, then we'll do that.
Okay, so once you've created the new branches, done the tagging, if someone could send a note on VOLTHA Discuss so that the rest of the group knows, that would be appreciated. And
yep, I'll do that.
We have some other merges on hold until this happens. Great, thanks, Meg.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yep,
okay.
I got it.
Matt, you should have Garrett permissions. Give it a shot and let me know if you have any issues.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure I don't do something terrible. So yeah, I'll poke at it and let you know if I run into a problem.
-RF.
Yeah, right. I don't want to destroy anything.
And then also, you did mention, as long as there are no objections, so let me just make a call. While we've got people on the bridge today, are there any objections to this plan to do the branching and the tagging after the merge of this one remaining item?
Yeah, the rationale would say, is let's do this as soon as we can. So, after this is done, then we focus on 2.0 migration, right? So, I think at least we have a very, pardon me?
And tech profiles as well. So tech profile changes can come in for adapters, resource manager changes that are, aggressive in nature can start happening, and we have a branch that's stable that we can work with.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. So, thanks everybody, community, for understanding this. So let's do that.
All right. The next item is one that we kind of deferred the discussion from Thursday to today. And there was a proposal from Shad that was on VOLTHA Discuss also. I haven't seen any responses to that. I'm not sure if he's gotten private feedback from folks, but this is related to the strategy for the adapters for V1.5 to 2.0. So Shad, I don't know if you want me to pull up that email or if you just want to verbally discuss that here.
Yeah, if you could pull up the email. I don't want to take too much time here. That I think we'll be starting to look at 2.0 adapters and how to migrate from the 1.x to 2.0. And I had just some thoughts, and maybe others are going through a chip or others are going through the same thought process. I like to be, I like to keep the same code base for 1.x and 2.0. which would mean some sort of a code reorg, refactoring, so that the core part of the adapter is usable from both interfaces, the 1.x iAdapter and the new 2.0. So I just want to if others are thinking on the same lines, I just want to work along with others, and if they have ideas, and that was all I wanted to kind of start a discussion, and so if and I know we're going to get some resources to work on OpenOLT 2.0. Dinesh from HCore was going to start looking at this, and Sean was telling me about somebody else who would be possibly be starting on 2.0 adapters. So before we go off and start off a new code base, I just wanted us to explore the possibility of using the same code base for both releases, and that's about it.
Any feedback from the group?
Shad, what do you mean exactly by using the same code base? You're talking about the same repo. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so very high level thoughts is move the current OpenOLT adapter code into a new repo.
Okay.
And and the VOLTHA repo would have like maybe some kind of a Git submodule to include that OpenOLT repo. So we have 1.x chugging along, but we would have separated out the OpenOLT code into a different repo. And now in that repo, we can start refactoring code, and all the while making sure that it still works with 1.x, that changes should be backward compatible. Refactoring the code so that there's some core parts of the adapter, which should be common between, really not change between 1.x and 2.0. And in this new repo, making the changes for 2.0 as well, where it all the container, so that same core should be usable from a containerized adapter, and provide the 2.0 interfaces. So am I making sense?
So that would be hard to do because you'll be in a container and you'll be talking over Kafka.
No. So the same code, so in 1.x, 1.x is just going to include that code in as it's not going to use the containerized part of it,
Okay. Because 1.x lives within the core, right?
Pardon, 1.x?
Yeah, it's live within the core. All the adapters live within the core in 1.x. And 2.0 will move out.
Right.
So if there's a way to maintain backward compatibility, I'm all for it. But I think that could be tricky.
It would be tricky, but it's if we had a blackboard and we had some more time, I think we could go over the possible ways to do it. So the goal should be that that
might be useful
the way
we've done.
Yeah, pardon. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying what might be useful is for you to present how you intend on doing that.
Okay.
The same way we presented, the HA strategy.
Sure.
I think it would be useful for everybody to understand that.
Sure. No, I had some things in mind. I was wondering if others had also thought about this, or others were thinking of completely forking out and starting off a new code base for the adapter. But I'll put across my thoughts in the next call's presentation. But I think it's doable, and I had started some experimenting with that, but not gone a whole long along. But I'll share my thoughts in a slide next week.
Great, thank you.
One more note, Shad, in terms of repo under the VOLTHA Go, I also created an adapters repo. And currently I'm using it for parsing, so that you're more than welcome to add the other adapters there too.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. I was thinking of a repo for OpenVolt that includes because I have a repo for the driver.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that's a suitable place to put the adapter as well, because then they share the protobufs, between the driver and the adapter, and it's all in one repo. But I'll think about that other repo, common repo for the adapters, and see whether that works out.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, Shad. This is Amit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought initially there was a thought that once we move to 2.0, the OpenVolt adapter would be rewritten in Golang. So am I missing something there? Or because I saw in your VOLTHA Discuss update, you said that you plan to stick with Python, right, even in 2.0.
And if this is, I think, if we are, it depends on resources and who's available to work on this as well. If I think rewriting in Go will take a little longer, but I'm all for if somebody wants to take the lead over there and start right away. I'm all for it. But if it were up to me, if I were going to start this, I would just for time constraints like to remain in Python.
It might be useful to do some kind of scalability testing as well once we transition into the VOLTHA core in Go plus the Python-based adapter, and see if there's any impact there.
Sure. Yeah. So anybody's free to if propose. I mean, if you want to start off in the adapter and Go, I'm all for it. If I were to start it, and given the timelines that we have, I think I would personally stay with Python for now.
Right. I think this.
Sorry. Yeah, I think what Sean said makes a lot of sense. Like we should first figure out how much of an impact does the language have on the adapter itself before deciding whether we should actually move to Go or not.
Yeah, just based on my initial testing that I've done so far. I've not done any performance testing with that environment. I just do basic performance testing just over Kafka before. What I've noticed is the performance impact itself with Twisted. It's not that bad. It has problem with multi-threading, obviously, but if the adapters doesn't need to run a lot of multi-thread tasks like the coder needs to do, then Twisted is fine. I don't see a lot of impact on Twisted itself.
Yeah. So now in the containerized, if it was Python in the container adapter container, it would be a twisted thread of its own, and which would be just be doing the adapter stuff and nothing else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but Shad, I don't think we're using Twisted in the adapter, OpenVolt adapter right now, right? So we might have to introduce Twisted in that.
Oh yes, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Other comments or questions today? All right. So Shad, I think I heard that you would be able to give you would be able to prepare some brief slides or do some review and discussion on a meeting. Was that for this Thursday or was this next week?
So this is not an urgent thing. I mean, so I'll rather put out some code, which I had already started. So I really don't want to spend time on slides right now because this is not very important. So I'll just let this.
Well, actually, it is important, Shad. I mean, it's important for us to understand what you're trying to do. So yes, it is important, and I'd like to see it sooner rather than later.
Sure,
Okay.
but if he has example code that already kind of lays this out, code can
Well,
actually.
we presented the HA strategy like 5 or 6 times, and we had example code. So I don't understand what the resistance is.
Sure.
No, I don't think there's a resistance to slides. It's just we can talk for days about what things should be, but until somebody writes something, the debate can continue. I think let's get something written, let's look at it, and let's see what happens.
So let's do it for 2 weeks from now. Next week maybe a little early. So 2 weeks from now, and I'll have some maybe hopefully some code and some slides ready.
Okay.
Perfect.
So Tuesday, 16th. Okay. Thank you. Can't type here. Sorry about that. All right. I think we've got only 3 minutes left, so we're not going to have time to get into any detailed sprint updates. So let me go quickly back to the board for what we've got in progress. And
Julie, can we just briefly touch on Thursday? What's
yes.
on Thursday?
So Thursday, so I did get an update from Andy. I'm not sure if he's on the bridge today. They're having issues scheduling with vacations, and so there's a good chance this is going to get rescheduled, but he's supposed to confirm with me tomorrow. So I think Thursday we probably are not going to have any deep dives scheduled at this moment. So this one likely will get pushed out. Are there any other topics people would like to add to the agenda for Thursday for deep dive discussion?
Only if people want to have a day without meeting.
Or we can go over sprint updates, which we did today. Okay. So we've got about 2 minutes left. So I didn't hear any volunteers for deep dives on Thursday. So let me just, I'll keep you posted on that.
I'd like to talk about profiles, if that would be okay.
Yeah, sure.
And also maybe, Sean, is there an overview of how multicast we think it should work? I mean, basically the capture of the IGMP, join and leave packets, and where they go, and who's injecting the multicast channels into the subscribers and provisioning for this, or is there anything that's available around an overall architecture for multicast?
But Sean, are you intended to put it together yourself, or you're asking maybe Atran and even Sienna, right, to have something about their experience on the multicast support?
Well, that would be great, yeah. I mean,
what I'm saying, that may be a little bit too soon. That's 2 days, okay?
Yeah. I'm just saying. I mean, if Nokia can't do the walkthrough, is there anything else? Is there like an overall architecture that's currently available, or it's not defined anywhere, or do we need to define that?
I think, yeah. I don't have a clear picture about how that was done. I know there's a lot of packet in, packet out. That's all I know. Especially the IGMP request, all that kind of channel changing, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty complicated. If you have a proposal, put it on the table. That'd be great. Or some example, put it on. Well, I'm just being considerate that I'm not sure whether other people have the time to prepare for 2 days.
I just wonder if there's an architecture already available, maybe we could just go through that, or if not, then I guess we'll put something together.
Okay.
Maybe someone could volunteer to do that.
Okay, and we are out of time, and I do need to open up another bridge, so I will need to wrap up today's call. So if you have items that are currently waiting for review in Garrett and you need some assistance, please let me know. I'll take a look at status later today and try and ping folks if needed. But again, hopefully, I may wait for that until after we get the notification about the tagging, so that we don't have a roadblock for any merges. And with that, we are out of time. So I will go ahead and close today's session. Thank you, everyone, for the attendance and discussion. And that will be it for today. Talk to everyone soon.
Thank you.